It was $1 million mistake, giving Al $1 million day, his second Indianapolis crown. Now, it's the road to the championship in the Miller Genuine Draft 200 on the Milwaukee Mile. 4 years ago, Al spun here, but it didn't phase Junior. He made Milwaukee his first oval win. Michael Andretti's had mixed luck here, like running out of fuel in the last lap at 90, and then winning back-to-back the next 2 years. It was on the Milwaukee Mile last year that Nigel Mansell scored his first oval win. That began his climb to the PPG Championship and historic back-to-back crowns in Formula One and in IndyCar. The players are all here. The road to the championship is ahead. The challenge is 200 laps on the Milwaukee Mile. The IndyCar drivers have begun to strap on their cars. Let's go to the starting grid and Jack Arute.
Paul, what a difference 1 week makes. CART IndyCar sanctions the Milwaukee Mile, not USAC, so the Mercedes engines used by Team Penske for an Indy 500 victory are not allowed. 12 months ago, this man driving a Dick Simon car, Raul Boesel, was on the pole. He's on the pole again, but they're winless. They've never won an IndyCar race. On the outside of row number 1, it's Paul Tracy, the Canadian, having a terrible season so far. He wants to turn it around today. And look at Derek Walker's team on the inside of row number 2. Robbie Gordon, with his best qualifying effort in his career, he'll start in third position. And flanking him on the outside, the youngster who is the youngest IndyCar driver of the season, Jacques Villeneuve, hot off his second place at the Indy 500, his first tour of the Milwaukee Mile today. There are even more stories in rows 3 and 4, right, Gary Gerald?
A lot of surprises, Jack. You start right here inside row 3. Scott Goodyear. Remember how he struggled last month to make the field at Indianapolis? Here he is now, starting number 5 on the grid. And alongside, Dominic Dobson for the Pac West team. He has the second fastest qualifying effort of his career, but problems this morning. He got into the wall during a warm-up session, extensively damaged one side of the car. They've made repairs. He'll start in the 3rd row. And then back in the 4th row, even more surprises. You've got Brian Herta in only his second IndyCar race for A.J. Foyt. He starts inside row number 4, an impressive rookie from the Indy Lights ranks. The veteran Emerson Fittipaldi alongside in row number 4. Only 1 second separates the top 19 qualifiers today. And back in the field, many other marquee names, starting with Nigel Mansell, Mario Andretti, and defending 500 champion Al Unser Jr. Paul, we've got the ingredients for a sensational race on the Milwaukee Mile.
Gary, some truly great stories here today. Now, as we speak to you live, it is overcast here with a report that there is rain just 60 miles to the west of us in Madison, Wisconsin, so we'll keep an eye on that throughout the afternoon. Now, you use so many words to describe the Milwaukee Mile. It's tight, it's flat, it's incredibly fast, it's torturous. And all those words are why fans and race drivers alike enjoy the Milwaukee Mile. It's created some great races over its history as the oldest racetrack in the United States, if not in the world. Well, the drivers are ready. 26 IndyCars on the grid. Let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole, it's Raul Boesel, last year's pole winner and second place finisher, alongside Paul Tracy, who's starting second in his second race at Milwaukee. In row 2, it's Robbie Gordon, who was leading at Phoenix when he ran out of fuel, and Jacques Villeneuve, coming off a second place finish in the Indy 500. Row 3, Scott Goodyear, who led 35 laps here last year, and Dominic Dobson, the IndyCar veteran, making his first Milwaukee start. In row 4, to the inside is Brian Herta, making his second IndyCar start for the legendary A.J. Foyt, and Emerson Fittipaldi, the winner at Phoenix. Row 5, Nigel Mansell, the defending champion here, and Teo Fabi. The 6th row, Indy winner Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti. Row 7, Mario Andretti and Stefan Johansson. Row 8, Scott Sharp and Jimmy Vasser. In the 9th row, Mauricio Gugelmin and Ari Luyendyk. Row 10, Bobby Rahal and Willie T. Ribbs. Row 11, Marco Greco and Mark Smith. The 12th row, Mike Groff and Buddy Lazier. And the 13th row, Hiro Matsushita and Adrian Fernandez. 26 IndyCars are ready to go. Now we want to give our best wishes to our Indy producer, Bob Goodrich, who is not feeling well. Bob, get well soon, please.
The Miller Genuine Draft 200. Brought to you by Cold Filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Target, where you can expect more and pay less. And Split Fire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more until you use it.
We're back live at the Milwaukee Mile, where the cry is ready to go out for the 26 Indy cars to start their engines. Now, Sam Posey, this track has a reputation for creating brand new winners.
Well, Paul, it's an interesting statistic. 4 great drivers, Nigel Mansell, Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, and Al Unser Jr. have all won their first oval IndyCar race here in Milwaukee.
Well, if that is true, then Bobby Unser, who are you looking for as a potential winner?
Well, the guys that could get on Sam's list are Boiselle, Robbie Gordon, and Jacques Villeneuve. And Paul, they're all fast here at Milwaukee this weekend.
All right, so the command has gone out for the green flag. Will be out in just a few minutes, and we'll be back for the start of the Miller Genuine Draft 200 here on the Milwaukee Mile. We're live at the Milwaukee Mile as Johnny Rutherford in the PPG pace car has concluded the first of the parade laps leading up to the pace lap of the race. Johnny Rutherford there in that red Mustang. Raul Boiselle, he was on the pole here 1 year ago. The weather, well, there is the chance of some rain here this afternoon. Everybody is keeping an eye to the west. That's the sky from which the weather comes. 200 laps, 200 miles. The race record is held here by Michael Andretti, set in 1992. And, of course, Nigel Mansell is the defending champion here. Still looking for his first win this year as we take a look over Nigel's right-hand shoulder. Robbie Gordon, that spectacular camera mount from the Indianapolis 500 on the left side. Over Michael Andretti's right rear tire. The camera actually mounted on the rear wing of the car. Over the right shoulder of the pole sitter, Raul Boiselle. And then we've got that nose cam from Bobby Rahal's car where you can look right out front. No antenna on it this time, though, so it's a totally unobstructed view that you have as they cross over the start-finish line once again and down into the first turn, while the pace car is already coming off of turn 2 and onto the backstretch. There's the field, nicely aligned. Paul Tracy alongside in the front row. The second row of Robbie Gordon and Jacques Villeneuve. They begin to close to their more traditional lineup and tuck right in as close as they can. It's almost as if Robbie Gordon is beginning to telegraph a move to the inside. We'll keep an eye on him. The first 4 rows well aligned as Raul Boiselle paces him off the corner, picks up the pace. And here we go. Paul Tracy sweeping down toward the outside, trying to get around Raul Boiselle. They come off the corner side by side. Tracy forges ahead.
Well, that's one of the best contests between a Ford and a Chevy engine or an Elmore engine that I ever saw, Paul.
Michael Andretti trying to make a move up through the field now. We'll stay on board with him for a second as Tracy takes over the lead from Raul Boiselle. Gordon is third. Villeneuve is fourth.
Tracy had trouble all through the warm-up, couldn't put 2 laps together. Suddenly, the Penske team seems to have gotten his car right.
A lot of struggling during this morning's warm-up session, which also, by the way, caused some damage to Dominic Dobson's car and to Adrian Fernandez's car. They both got into the wall, but both were repaired in time to start. Michael Andretti on the start there was able to jump from 12th up to 5th. We're back on board with Michael.
Now, to a lot of these drivers, Paul, Milwaukee is the place that they like the most. For the small track, the short track, this is the place. And this is one of the guys right here, Michael Andretti. He just loves the place.
That right rear tire turning about 2,000 RPM right now.
On the home stretch now, in front of the grandstand with the largest crowd I've ever seen here at the Milwaukee Mile. Spectacular crowd here today. Paul Tracy runs alone in the lead.
Tracy, of course, had a big lead here last year when he ran into trouble, had a crash, and that has been the story so often for him in races. It's funny, though, now that Indy is over, it's as if a great weight was lifted off Tracy. He's really racing today.
Second place, Raul Boisel. You ride with him now. Paul Tracy just sits ahead as they work to the backstretch.
Now watch as we're on board with these cameras and the guys go into the turns. Watch and see how they go down. Use the yellow line or the white line to the left as your guide. You can see the yellow line and the white line, and you can see the different patterns that the different guys use. For example, Boisel or right there, Paul Tracy. They all have different concepts of how they're going to go through the turn.
Bobby, as we watch Raul Boisel here in the orange and black car, I talked to him about 20 minutes before the start. I said, Raul, it's had a great weekend for you. You've got the pole, everything looks good. He said, yeah, but the car is very tricky to handle here. It goes from understeer to oversteer and back to understeer in just a lap or two. Very hard driving, he said.
You can watch Boisel right there as he went through 3 and 4 turns, Sam. He never went underneath the yellow line. He touched it 2 times, stayed out. Now on that turn, that's considered kind of a high line.
Emerson Fittipaldi battles with rookie Brian Herta. It's a fight for 6th place.
Herta in the black A.J. Foyt car on the left of the screen.
Fittipaldi tried to put the nose down inside, lost momentum, had to pull back out of it.
And he really is just doing a fake deal on Herta. He wants to get Herta to pull down, tighten his line up, Paul, and slow down a little bit.
This is only Herta's second race, and he lets Emerson by.
There goes Fittipaldi as he moves into 6th place, and Herta will quickly have a challenge from behind. Now, Villeneuve comes out to challenge the back end of Robbie Gordon. This is a fight for 3rd.
And a fight among 2 brilliant young drivers. 25 years old, Robbie Gordon, 23, Jacques Villeneuve.
Now the Villeneuve in the car that's in 2nd right here on the screen. A little different blue there. He's been shifting, Sam and Paul. He's been coming out of the turn, running about a 4th of the way down the straightaway, shifting into a higher gear, which means in the turns or out of the turns, he has a little lower gear ratio.
Back on board, Michael, as Penske cars continue to come up through the field. First it was Emerson coming around, as now Al Unser Jr. begins to challenge Michael. And Michael's not going to have much of it. But Junior's in a position off the corner.
Great racing at Milwaukee. You see this all the time, side-by-side racing.
Now those 2 guys run together enough to where they kind of know what each other are going to do. That's the only way they can run side by side all the way through 1 and 2 turns there, Paul.
Bobby, you've raced a lot of laps at this track. How would you rate it among all the tracks in the country to drive?
Sam, I think it's the nicest oval track that we have. It's a perfect oval. Both turns are the same shape. The track is flat. It's always what they call a driver's racetrack, or the guys really have to work hard.
Fittipaldi tries to the inside of Villeneuve, can't get that job done. There's Tracy, still the leader of the race, but now he begins to encounter traffic. Boisel comes out to take the slower traffic. Now here comes Robbie Gordon, Villeneuve, and Fittipaldi as they will come into the slower cars, and that will make a world of difference in how they get around.
Now Fittipaldi's going to cause Jacques Villeneuve right there on the right-hand side to go a little bit harder. You see, look at there. Whoa. He didn't either. He just blew right by him.
So Fittipaldi now up to challenge Robbie Gordon. And here comes Little Al. He'll try to dial around the outside of Villeneuve. Then he comes to the inside on the front stretch. Here Robbie Gordon battles with Fittipaldi. You got a glimpse of it for a second. Here is Little Al as he comes off of 2, still trying to get Jacques, and Fittipaldi has passed Gordon. Brian Herta is right there. Nope, that's Mark Smith. There comes Little Al as he gets caught behind Mark Smith.
Well, the traffic in Milwaukee is rough. You know, you're only taking just in the lower 20-second bracket to get around this track. 23 to 24 seconds a lap. Boy, the traffic gets really bad like it is right now.
Little Al, of course, jumped up from 11th place. Scott Goodyear is having some problems. He fell from 5th back to 14th. You're on board, Robbie Gordon.
Watch how wide a line Robbie Gordon takes through the turn. Whoa!
Little Al drops to the inside of Robbie, and just that quickly he has passed. The Penske car is very definitely on the move.
Gordon has been taking a wide line through the turns all weekend, passing cars in practice, and I think it'll serve him well in the race because he'll be able to make passes on the slower cars that others can't.
Now, you know, a lot of the passing is done as you go into the turns, as you've watched Little Al doing it. It's driving deep. The cars the drivers don't use an awful lot of brakes there. They just barely use the brakes.
For 2nd place as here comes Fittipaldi past Boisel, and Emerson Fittipaldi picks up 2nd. So Penske cars now run 1 and 2.
And Little Al is on the move. A classic